Welcome back to week 2 of Seeking Safety, Ventral Vagus Nerve Stimulation here with Soma Yoga. My name is Hannah, and today I am really excited about this particular class because we are going to be learning a pranayama practice that I do not teach very often at all, just because it can have a really powerful effect. It's called swooning breath. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But to start, let's make sure that we set up our seat. And in session 1, week 1 of this series, I took some time and went over how to do that. So if you need to refer back to it, please do. But I'm here on my bolster. You can use a couch cushion or multiple blankets stacked on top. And then I have some blankets underneath my knees, and this just helps so that the knees and the hip flexors aren't hanging forward. So whether you need blocks or multiple blankets stacked up, go ahead and take a moment, take all of the time that you need to set up your seat so that you are as comfortable as you can be. And with that, we'll begin to tune in. So I invite you to find a seated shape that feels supportive to your body. You might choose to have your legs extended rather than crossed in front of you. And if so, it might be helpful to place a blanket underneath your knees, especially if your joints and ligaments are prone to hyperextending. So please choose what is best in your body in this moment. And as you begin to arrive on your mat, I welcome you to take this time to just be all here with you, with yourself. This is your practice. We'll just start by drawing all of our awareness in toward ourselves. So you might start by simply noticing the area around you, either through hearing or sight, maybe even taking in your surroundings, noticing where you are. And then if it feels safe, you might choose to take the eyes closed if you haven't already. Beginning to draw the attention in closer toward your body until you can feel where you are resting in space. So noticing if you are sitting on a bolster or blankets or the floor, possibly noticing what you are sitting on. Beginning to observe how you are sitting. And there's no rush to correct anything. Simply noticing. There's nothing right or wrong here. We're just taking a moment to bring our awareness into our bodies in whatever fashion that looks like for you. And as you begin to notice how you are sitting, you might have naturally made some changes. That's okay. That's absolutely welcome. I trust you to know your body best, which means that your decisions that you make for your body throughout this series, throughout this class, are welcome. They are trusted as well. They are also celebrated. I welcome you to shift your awareness into your breath. You might even notice a natural sigh that occurs, or maybe a yawn. That's okay. Or maybe you simply watch your breath move in and out for a few rounds. You might observe where your breath is moving in your body, possibly more in the chest or the shoulders, or perhaps lower in the abdomen and the ribs. And just as in the first week, we explored finding length through the spine, I'm inviting you to find that again here. And so I'm not going to go through all of the cues that I did the first time, but again, if you ever need to refer back to that video, you're more than welcome to do so. So in this moment, you might begin to find some length through your spine, perhaps allowing a little bit of space in between each vertebrae. Maybe you even notice your torso getting a little bit taller. And then observing your neck. So noticing, is my neck drawing forward, my head along with it? Is my chin drawing forward? And if so, you might explore lengthening through the neck, noticing what happens. You might notice that the chin comes back a little bit, not because we forced it back, but just because the natural act of lengthening draws it back into alignment. You might notice if there's any tension in your hip flexors or maybe your low back, and if so, you could explore softening the hip flexors. Even if it feels like your lower back is a little bit slumpy, that's okay. The length can come from the chest, the shoulders, and the neck as the bottom half of your spine finds some rest. And with your spine lengthening up towards the sky, with the back of your head reaching up towards the sky, I welcome you to take a deep breath in here. And as you exhale, you could allow your spine to stay nice and tall as you just draw your head forward, allowing the weight of your head to just come forward. You might notice a pulling in the back of the neck, maybe even the base of the skull, and perhaps even in between the shoulder blades, or maybe one of those areas or all. So we'll take just 2 more breaths here, taking a moment, noticing. And then after your second breath, if you'd like to stay here in stillness, you can. That is a choice. Another choice is to allow your head to rock from left to right. The ventral vagus nerve runs through the face, the neck, the chest, the jaw, the mouth, the ears, the heart space. And as we noticed last week, whenever we have posture that may be curling in on itself, trying to protect our bodies, just do the best they can. Sometimes that can cause a shortening. And so we're returning back to this neck practice to just invite a little bit of space. And the next time your head is at center, you might choose to pause. And with an inhale, slowly draw your head back up. Pausing at the top for a moment. noticing what is present for you. And in this class, I offer you an affirmation. I am home in this body. My body is home. Whichever version suits you best. I am home in my body. I am home in my body. My body is home. And if this affirmation does not serve you today, I invite you to find a different affirmation that feels supportive to you. So with that, I welcome you to bring your right hand over to your left shoulder, or maybe your opposite side, either one, whichever side you want to start on. One hand over to the opposite shoulder, and we'll feel the top where our trapezius muscle is, our trap. And it's the muscle that runs right from the base of your neck onto the very top of your shoulder. And so you might even press on it just lightly with your hand and find that muscle. And then placing our palm on top of this shoulder, on top of that muscle. A couple options here. So one, you might simply inhale, and with your hand, squeeze this muscle. It might take a moment, especially if it's really tight, it might be hard to squeeze. But you can squeeze this muscle and inhale, draw the same side shoulder up. And then as you exhale, you might simply release the hand, release the shoulder. And if squeezing does not feel welcome to you, you might simply press on the muscle as you inhale and lift up. And then as you exhale, you might simply just release it. And again, if squeezing or pressure is not welcome, you can just inhale the shoulder up and exhale it down. So, whichever choice feels welcome to you, whether you're squeezing the muscle, applying some pressure, or simply inhaling it up and down, I honor your choice because you know your body best. So, choosing the option that suits you in this moment, we'll begin to squeeze, or another option, inhaling the shoulder up, exhale to release any effort and just allow the shoulder to float down. Working at your own pace, the pace of your breath. And we'll take 2 or 3 more. Last one. And after your last exhale, you might take your hand that has been on the shoulder this whole time and begin to massage down the neck and down the shoulder. Option 2. And if massaging does not feel welcome here, you might simply apply some gentle pressure, or you might just find stillness and rest. You choose. And if you are a jaw clencher, like I am, you might even explore massaging the back of your jaw, even behind your ear. And we'll be here for the next 2 breaths. Last breath. Whenever you feel complete, allowing yourself a moment of rest and observing any differences. So noticing, how does the 2 sides of me feel? My left compared to my right. Noticing the neck and the shoulder, maybe even the jaw, if you found some relief there. And then when you're ready for the next side, you could take your opposite hand to the opposite shoulder. Find your muscle. And we'll repeat those same 3 options. You could either squeeze, inhale and lift the shoulder up, or you might just simply apply pressure with your hand, inhaling the shoulder up, or no extra effort at all, just inhaling your shoulder up and down. So wherever you're at, we'll take another 3 or 4 movements here. You can also change your mind. This body is your home. It is your constant. Even when we change physical locations, this is our constant. This flesh and bones, this soul and spirit, this consciousness, whatever you resonate with most. Last breath. And then if you would like, you might apply some massage to this side. Or you might choose to find stillness and observe. We'll be here for one more breath. And when you are complete, I welcome you to take a pause, just witnessing for a moment, witnessing your own internal experience. And when you feel like it's time to move on to the next shape, I invite you to meet me in a child's pose. And if you're not ready to move on, you can stay here as long as you like. I'm going to move my props out of the way. Okay. When you come into your child's pose, you might choose to take a wide stance. So that might look like taking your knees as wide as your mat. Maybe your toes touch back behind you. And then you could start to send your hips back toward the heels. Maybe allowing your forehead to come down onto the mat. Or if you prefer to leave your gaze lifted, you could always stack your fists underneath your chin. And if this feels uncomfortable for any reason at all, maybe it feels like you're a bit exposed, you might take a blanket and wrap it around the back, maybe even wrapping it around your legs, and then returning into any form of child's pose that does feel welcome. You always have the choice to forego a wide stance, and so if it feels more welcome to have your knees closer together and the blanket wrapped behind you, that is another choice. How you come into the shape or how your body looks in the shape really is of no consequence here. It really doesn't matter. What matters is being present here with yourself in your body. I am home in my body.
We'll be here for another 3 breaths. Last breath here, in and out at your own pace. You might choose to stay here longer, or if you are ready to move on to the next shape, you might begin to lift your head to look at your hands. And you have 2 options here, 3 really. You might choose to stay in a child's pose and just place your elbows and your forearms on the floor as we move into some spinal movement in a cat-cow. And so here's a modified or variation of the same shape, and you can just stay here with the blanket wrapped around you if you'd like, or if you just prefer to be in this shape of child's pose, then you might begin to inhale and draw your chest forward. Maybe your gaze even looks forward. And then as you exhale, perhaps you begin to curl inward, allowing the spine to reach back and up. And then allowing your inhale to rock you forward again. So this is one option. Another option is to make your way forward onto all fours. And you might choose to leave the blanket here, or you might choose to remove it. I'm going to go ahead and remove it just so that you can see what I'm doing. So if you'd prefer to come onto all fours, you might begin to place your palms on the floor. Maybe they end up somewhere underneath your shoulders. And then you might begin to inhale and allow the spine to drop down toward the floor. Kind of like creating a bow. Then as you exhale, you could begin to round the spine up. Maybe even allowing the chin and the tailbone to draw in toward one another. So wherever you're at, I invite you to take another 3 or 4 breaths here. Moving at your own pace, in your own way. Oh, right, I did say that there were 3 options. And the third option is to move in any way that feels supportive to you. So if taking this cat-cow does not feel welcome, you might choose to simply move in any organic way. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to look like anything you've seen before. You can simply move naturally. You might even do a little bit of both. You might explore cat-cow and add in organic movement as you see fit. We'll start to take our last breath here. Returning back to center. If you are in child's pose, you could begin to move into a tabletop. We're only going to be here for a second as we either move into a downward facing dog, or if you know that you do not prefer down dog, I'll give you another option. So from your tabletop, you might begin to find some engagement in your core. So maybe on an exhale, you can start to press the air out and find some gentle core engagement. It doesn't have to be 100% strength. That's not really the goal. It's just to provide a little bit of support for your lower back. And then you might choose to walk your hands out forward, a little bit of ways in front of you.
And then taking a breath in and exhale, you might begin to bring the chest and the forehead down toward the floor. It doesn't have to touch the floor, but if you'd like to rest your forehead on the mat, that is also an option. So this is our puppy shape. Another option is if you'd like a full down dog, you could tuck your toes and maybe you keep the knees bent to start. I always like doing that first. It creates a little bit of space. You could start to send the hips back. And then from this knee bent position shape, you could allow one heel to work its way down toward the floor, allow it to come back up, and then switch it out for the opposite heel. So you could walk out your feet, so to speak. Wherever you're at, I invite you to be here for the next 3 to 4 breaths. However, you can leave at any time or you can change your mind at any time. Last breath. If you are in the puppy shape, you might begin to lift your head and shift your hips forward and walk your hands back, coming back into a tabletop shape. And then we can all take our gaze up toward our hands. If you're in down dog, you might begin to bend your knees. And then however it feels natural to you, you could step your feet forward. And I'll meet you in a forward fold. You might choose to have your feet as wide as your hips, maybe as wide as your mat, especially if your hamstrings are feeling really tight. It might be helpful to have your feet a little bit wider. However, you don't have to. With your next inhale, option to bring your hands to your shins or maybe some blocks as we lengthen through the spine and find a halfway lift. With your next exhale, you could begin to find your way back down into a forward fold. Perhaps even giving your head a shake no, and then a nod yes. Allowing the head to grow heavy and just hang out. If you're ready to make your way out of this forward fold, you could begin to inhale, bend your knees and rise up. You might even reach your hands above your head. And exhale, hands can come down to heart center. Option to leave the hands here, or you might release them to your sides. You choose. I'm taking this opportunity as you see fit to notice your feet and where they connect to the earth. If it feels welcome, you might even shift a little bit, maybe swaying back and forth. I like to even allow my toes to really lift up and spread. It feels really nice to me, at least, especially if you wear shoes all day. It can be nice to just move through the feet, feeling your weight shifting back and forth into the soles. And if you are swaying, you might continue to, especially if this feels welcome. And if you'd like to find stillness, that is also an option. We'll begin to move into some lateral stretches and some twists. If you are pregnant, especially if you're further along. There's not a lot of room to twist. And so I'm gonna twist one way, and if you're pregnant, you will just forego the twist. Okay. I mean, you can do whatever you see fit in your body, but just notice how you feel. All right, so we'll take our right foot, and two options. You can either step your right foot, cross it over your left, or if this feels really unstable and not welcome, you can just keep your feet as they are, either hip distance apart or together, maybe wider, you choose. And you can also try one, and if you don't like it, you can switch back, change your mind. So if you're ready, you could inhale and then reach your arms up overhead. And if your right foot is crossed over your left, we'll begin to exhale and lean over toward the left. You might even allow your left arm to come down toward your leg, reaching over. Allowing your next inhale to bring you back up to center. And your exhale, you could draw your arms straight out ahead of you like you're holding something out in front of you. And then keeping your left hand where it's at, if you're going to take the twist, you'll allow your right arm to come back, twisting open. Inhaling back forward. And we'll move into a forward fold. So if you're ready for that, you could exhale, and you might choose to keep your legs twisted like this, crossed, or you might release the cross as you come down into a forward fold. Just for a moment as you exhale, with your next inhale, option to take a halfway lift. Exhale to fold. And an inhale to rise. Exhale, you can uncross your legs if they were crossed. Notice any difference here. Maybe wiggle, shake it out. Having your legs crossed when you take that forward fold can feel, it can really get into the IT band. All right, so if you had your right leg crossed over your left, you might choose to take it again on the other side if it feels supportive, and so we'll just switch. So your left foot, option to cross over the right. Inhaling the arms up. Lateral stretch to the right, so you could exhale. Right hand can come down to your right side as you reach over. Big breath into the left ribs. And an inhale to rise whenever you're ready. Exhale to reach your hands forward, and if you're going to take the twist, you could send your left arm back. So your arms are in a T. Your inhale brings your arms back forward and up. If you'd like to take a forward fold, you could find one now, whether your legs are crossed or not. Allowing your inhale to cue your halfway lift. And your exhale to soften you back into the fold. And whenever you're ready to rise, you could breathe in, reach your arms up. Exhale, release the arms down and uncross your legs. Taking a breath here. Noticing how you feel. Observing your feet on the floor. Do your feet feel more grounded now compared to when we first noticed our feet on the floor before we took our lateral stretches and forward folds? And when you're ready, we'll come back into a seated shape. And if you'd like, you could set up your space again, as we'll be here for a few breaths. We'll begin to set up for our pranayama practice. And you always have the option, if crossing your legs doesn't feel welcome, whether you have an injury or you just don't like it, you can always choose to extend your legs out in front of you or take any other seated shape that does feel welcome. Option to place one hand over your heart and one over your abdomen. Observing your heart rate. And perhaps even observing your breath. I invite you to notice your spine and your neck here. I welcome you to find some length through the spine and allowing the back of the head to pull up toward the ceiling. And it's different than, so we're not necessarily looking up toward the ceiling. Instead, we're tucking the chin just slightly and allowing the neck to pull up towards the sky. Feeling lots of length and space here. We'll begin to practice our swooning breath. And before we get into this, I just want to let you know that this can be a very powerful breath. We're only going to do it 3 times, but really 3 times is enough. At any time that you feel lightheaded, please give yourself permission to release the breath and return back to your normal breathing, or to take a moment to support yourself in any manner that you see fit. If you want to take some of the breaths and not all of the breaths, that's also welcome. Please check in with yourself as you go along. We're going to take this very slow, and just give yourself permission whenever you need it to step away or take more time, whatever that looks like for you. So with that being said, we'll begin. I'm going to show you the first time. I'm going to show you right now, and then I'll lead you through 3 breaths. Okay, so for this one, just go ahead and watch me, and I'll tell you and show you at the same time. So we'll start here with a neutral neck, neutral spine. And as I lower my chin to my chest, I'm going to take a breath in. And each breath, we're taking our time. So there's no need to rush. You can move at the pace of your breath. So I'm going to inhale. As I exhale, I'm going to stick my tongue out and exhale out of my mouth as I draw my head back up. So I'm going to pause at the top and close my mouth and breathe in. And as I exhale, I'm going to just bring my head back to center. That's 1. And I can already feel the effect of it in my body right now. So I'm going to guide you through 3 of those. And again, please release it if it does not feel welcome, or you can do some and not others. So from your neutral spine and your nice and long, spacious neck, We'll take a breath in and allow the chin to drop down toward the chest. Stick out your tongue and exhale out, lifting the head up. Pause at the top, close your mouth and inhale through your nose. Allow your exhale to bring your head back to center. Slow exhale, please take your time. Inhale to drop your chin down towards your chest. Tongue sticks out, exhale. Tilting the head back, close the mouth and inhale. Exhale to bring your head back to center. Last one. Inhale, drop the chin to the chest. Stick the tongue out, lift the head as you exhale. Close the mouth and breathe in at the top. Exhale, head comes back to center. Pause here. Observe anything that is present for you. You might feel some tingling sensations. You might even feel the need to shiver or shake. And if so, please allow yourself to do anything that feels organic to you. You might feel a little bit lightheaded, and if so, that's normal. You might just feel a sense of settling in your body. Three more breaths of witnessing. I am home in my body. I am home in my body. You might choose to stay right here as long as you like. If you are ready to move into any other Shavasana resting shape, I invite you to do so now. So if this shape that you are currently in feels wonderfully supportive for you and you would like to stay here for the remainder of our meditation and rest time, then I invite you to do so. Or you might choose to take any other shape. If you'd like to return back to this supported Shavasana, whether using a chair, a couch, or a coffee table, that's also a choice. You might also choose to lie on your stomach, maybe putting a blanket over you, or maybe lie on your back and put a blanket over you. You decide. I'm going to lie on my back and I'm going to put a bolster underneath my knees. If you have any low back tension or tightness, it is helpful. It might feel relieving to either take a rolled up blanket or towel or a bolster underneath your knees. So we'll finish setting up here. Coming into any shape of your choice. You might, if you're lying on your back and you feel like your neck needs some support, you might take a blanket and roll it up halfway and place it right on your neck to support your cervical spine. All right. So taking as much time and space that you need to find your rest shape of choice. I'm going to guide you through an optional guided meditation. And if this is not something that you'd like to do today, you could choose to just tune me out or maybe fast forward through this recording. We'll start just by maybe taking a scan through your body, noticing, is there any area that needs to be adjusted or supported in a different manner? Any movement that you need to take? If you're lying on your back, you might even choose to lay a blanket over you if you're cold, or if you would just like an extra sense of safety. You could lay a blanket over you in any shape, really. And as you start to find stillness, although you could continue to move throughout this time if that feels welcome to you, stillness is not required, and having your eyes closed is also not required. You could choose to leave your eyes open or take them open at any time that you decide to. I welcome you to take a deep breath in through the nose and out of the mouth. Bringing to mind a place that you've been before that allows you to feel completely safe. So in your mind's eye, can you find a place and bring it into your imagination, a place that you have been to before, where you felt safe, at rest, connected. And this might take a moment if you have to kind of search through your memory bank and find a place that feels safe. That's okay. Take your time. And then once you find this place, I invite you to pause here. Taking a moment in your mind's eye to just arrive and start looking around this safe place. This place that you have been before, that you know what it looks like. Looking around and observing. Are you outside or inside? Is it daytime or nighttime? Can you see the sky? Or maybe just what's above you? And also looking down in this place in your mind's eye, and noticing what's beneath you. Do you have shoes on, or are your feet bare? And beginning to notice any smells in this place. If you're outside, you might smell the earth, or maybe a particular tree or plant. Maybe the smell of water. Or if you're inside, you might smell a sense of the smell that places hold. When you just walk into a room and you know this is what it smells like. Or maybe you smell something cooking, or you smell a candle. Whatever it is, whatever this place of safety smells like, bringing it to your mind. And then in your mind's eye, in this place of safety, noticing what you can hear. Do you hear music? Or maybe the sound of nature? Or maybe it's just a sweet quiet. Noticing if there's anything you can touch in this place of safety. Maybe with your bare feet or with your hands. Maybe if there is a soft blanket in this place, or the earth, or maybe some form of natural water. Is there any sense of texture? And shifting back into an awareness of your body in this place. This place that allows you to feel completely safe and protected. Noticing what you feel here. How does your body feel here? Do you feel held? Do you feel warm? Do you feel connected? Whatever you feel, I invite you to witness it right now. You might even notice a physical sensation in your body, or maybe more than one sensation in more than one area of your body that coincides with what you're feeling emotionally right now. And as we begin to close out this meditation, I invite you to take one more look around in your place of safety. Absorbing all of the goodness that is here, knowing that you can return to this place in your mind's eye whenever you want. If you'd like to stay here for the remainder of our final resting time, option to do so. Or if you're ready to find your way out of this meditation, you could begin to notice where you are connected to what is supporting you. Whether your back is on the floor, or whether you're sitting, whether there's a chair or bolster or anything else, feeling this tactile sense of touch in the present moment. You might even take a deep breath in through the nose and out of the mouth at your own pace. As we move into our time of rest, we'll be here for the next 4 minutes, and I'll keep track so that you can be all here, knowing that there's nothing else that you need to do or accomplish. There's no right or wrong. I welcome you to simply rest, and I'll be right here with you the whole time, even though I'm quiet. I invite you to bring some awareness back into your body. back into the space around you. If you'd like to stay in this place for longer, you absolutely can. And if you're ready to find some movement, you might begin to roll out the ankles or the wrists. And then rolling to one side, perhaps even pausing in fetal position for just a moment. And then in your own timing, you could press yourself up, find your way back to a seat. And you might bring your hands to heart center, taking a moment to express gratitude that you showed up on your mat today. I welcome you to take a full exhale out with me. And a deep breath in. And an exhale together. I am home in my body. I am home in my body. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know. You can email me directly or leave a comment at the bottom of the page that you are currently on. Thank you so much.